like teeth waiting to bite. The water runs deep in places, shallow in others, and you cannot tell which is which from where you stand. Your mind tells you it is safer to stay where you are. This side of the river is known territory. You understand its dangers because you have lived with them for so long. The ground may not give you everything you want, but at least it will not sweep you away or dash you against the rocks. But safety often means staying stuck. The safe side of the river offers no surprises, no challenges, no chance to discover what you might become if you dared to cross. Safety promises to protect you from harm, but it also protects you from growth, from change, from the very experiences that could transform your life. Growth lives on the far bank. Everything you have ever wanted to become waits across that water. The skills you could develop, the confidence you could build, the person you could become, all of these possibilities exist in the territory you have never explored because you have never been willing to leave the safety of this side. Some will stand at the edge forever, convincing themselves they will leap tomorrow, next week, or someday. They study the river, watching the patterns in the current, counting the stones, measuring the distance with their eyes. They make plans for crossing and backup plans for their backup plans. These people tell themselves they are being wise, being careful, being responsible. They say they need more time to prepare, more information to make the right choice, more certainty about what waits on the other side. But all their studying and planning becomes another way of staying exactly where they are. Tomorrow never comes for those who keep promising themselves they will act tomorrow. Next week turns into next month turns into next year, and the years pile up like stones between them and their dreams. Time does not make the river easier to cross, it only makes crossing feel more impossible. You cross the river not by waiting, but by leaping, not by understanding every current or memorizing every rock, but by gathering your courage and pushing off from the bank with whatever strength you have. The leap itself teaches you things about the river that no amount of watching could ever show you. Yes, you might get wet. The water might be colder than you expected, deeper than it looked, more powerful than you prepared for. Your clothes might be soaked, your hair might be tangled with river weeds, and you might arrive on the other side looking nothing like you planned. Yes, you might slip. Your foot might find a loose stone. Your hand might miss the branch you reached for, and you might go under the water for a moment that feels like forever. But even slipping teaches you something about balance, about recovery, about your own ability to find your footing again. But at least you will be moving forward. At least you will be in the river instead of beside it, acting instead of planning, living instead of watching life pass by from the safety of the shore. Even if you struggle, even if you stumble, you will be closer to your dreams than you were when you stood frozen at the water's edge. The truth is this: the longer you stand still, the colder the water feels. Each day you hesitate, each week you delay, the river seems to grow wider, deeper, more dangerous. What looked like a stream when you first arrived at the bank now looks like an ocean, but this is just your fear growing larger, not the actual river changing. Take the leap now, while the river is still the size it really is. Do not give your fear more time to turn a stream into a flood, a challenge into an impossibility. The river you face today is the same river you will face next year, except next year you will have spent another year convincing yourself it cannot be crossed. Once you do leap, once you feel the shock of cold water and the rush of current, you will discover something wonderful. The river was never as wide as you imagined. Your fear had stretched it in your mind, made it seem endless, when it was actually just a few strong strokes from bank to bank. Standing at the edge, the far shore looked impossibly distant. But from the middle of the river, with water rushing around you and your arms pulling you forward, you can see that the other side was always within reach. You just needed the courage to find out. 6. The fire you must feed. Inside you is a fire. It has been there since you were young, flickering in moments when you felt most alive, most yourself, most connected to something bigger than your daily worries. This fire is not the same for everyone. For some, it burns bright and steady, impossible to ignore. These people seem to know exactly what they love, exactly what calls to them, exactly what makes their hearts beat faster. For others, the fire flickers like a small flame almost ready to die out. Maybe life has blown hard against it, or maybe years of being told to be practical have nearly smothered it. Maybe you have forgotten it was ever there, buried under layers of responsibility and routine. But even when it seems almost gone, even when you can barely see its glow, the fire still lives inside you. That fire is your passion, your calling, the thing that makes life worth living. It is what you think about when your mind wanders freely. It is what you did as a child before anyone told you it was silly or impossible. It is the subject that makes you lose track of time, the activity that makes you forget to eat, the dream that visits you in quiet moments when you allow yourself to remember what you really want. But a fire left alone will fade unless you feed it. This is the law of all fires, whether they burn in a fireplace or in a human heart. Without fuel, without attention, without care, even the strongest flame will shrink and eventually disappear. The fire inside you follows this same rule. You cannot simply light your passion once and expect it to burn forever without help. You cannot discover what you love and then ignore it for months or years, expecting it to remain as strong as the day you found it. Fire needs food to survive, and your inner fire is no different. And what feeds the fire? Action. Not grand gestures or perfect moments, but simple daily choices to move toward what matters to you. Every time you practice your craft, you are adding kindling to the flame. Every time you learn something new about your passion, you are giving it oxygen to burn brighter. Every time you refuse to give up, even when progress feels slow or obstacles seem large, you add wood to the flame. Each small step forward, each moment you choose your passion over comfort or convenience, each time you say yes to what you love instead of what others expect, all of these become fuel that keeps your fire burning. Too many people wait for the fire to burn by itself. They discovered their passion once, felt its warmth, and then stepped back expecting it to grow on its own. They wait for inspiration to strike again, for motivation to return, for the perfect moment when they will feel ready to pursue what they love. But flames do not last without fuel. They cannot survive on memory alone, on the heat they generated yesterday or last month or last year. They need fresh wood today, right now, in this moment. They need you to tend them with the same care you would give to any fire you wanted to keep alive. You must be the one who keeps it alive. No one else can feed your fire for you. No one else knows exactly what it needs, exactly when it needs attention, exactly how to nurture it back to full strength when it has dimmed. This is your responsibility and yours alone. The good news is that feeding your fire does not require enormous effort or perfect conditions. Even small actions, reading one page of a book about your passion, practicing your skill for 10 minutes, writing down one idea that excites you, become logs that keep the fire growing. These small actions might seem too tiny to matter, like drops of water trying to fill an ocean, but fire responds to consistency more than size. A small flame fed regularly will grow stronger than a large flame fed only occasionally. Your passion thrives on daily attention, not on rare moments of intense focus. Reading one page teaches your mind that this passion matters enough to spend time on every day. Practicing for 10 minutes keeps your skills alive and slowly building. Writing down one idea captures the spark of inspiration before it fades and gives you something to return to tomorrow. Over time, what once was a weak spark becomes a blaze so strong it lights the path not only for you, but for others too. The fire that you faithfully tended, day after day, through doubt and difficulty, grows into something larger than you imagined possible. When your fire burns bright and steady, it becomes a beacon. People notice the warmth and light you carry. They see someone living with purpose, someone who knows what they love and pursues it without apology. Your fire gives them permission to tend their own flames, to remember their own passions, to believe that it is possible to live a life lit from within. The fire is already there. You do not need to create it, you only need to feed it. 7. The storm that builds your strength. Life will not always give you calm skies. This is not a flaw in the world or a sign that something has gone wrong with your story. It is simply the nature of being alive, of caring about things, of reaching for goals that matter. The calm days are gifts, but they are not the whole weather of a human life. There will be storms, setbacks that knock you off the path you thought was certain, failures that make you question everything you believed about yourself, heartbreaks that leave you wondering if it was foolish to hope at all. These storms arrive without warning, sometimes on days when the morning seemed bright and full of promise. Many people see the storm and run back to shelter. They feel the first drops of rain and immediately seek cover. They wait in doorways and under roofs, watching the dark clouds roll overhead, hoping the weather will clear before they have to venture out again. They tell themselves they are being smart, being careful, protecting themselves from harm. But those who keep walking discover that storms make them stronger. They learn that shelter, while comfortable, teaches them nothing about their own strength. Safety keeps them the same size they have always been, while storms force them to grow into someone larger, someone more capable of handling whatever weather life brings. Action during hardship is what builds resilience. It is not the storm itself that makes you stronger, it is what you choose to do while the storm rages around you. Anyone can walk on sunny days when the path is clear and the air is warm. But walking when the wind tries to push you backward, when rain stings your eyes and mud pulls at your feet, this is what transforms you. Think of a tree in the wind. The storm forces its roots to grow deeper so it does not fall. Before the storm, the tree's roots spread wide but shallow, taking what they need from the easy soil near the surface. But when fierce winds threaten to uproot it entirely, the tree has no choice but to send its roots down into harder ground, deeper than it has ever gone before. This digging is difficult work. The deeper soil resists, packed tight and stubborn. But the tree that survives the storm emerges with roots so deep and strong that future winds cannot shake it. What threatened to destroy it actually made it more solid, more permanent, more able to weather whatever comes next. The same happens to you. Every difficulty you face while still taking steps forward strengthens your character. When you choose to keep writing even though the words come slowly, when you continue learning even though the subject feels too hard, when you keep loving even though your heart has been broken before, these choices build something inside you that cannot be built any other way. You learn patience from delays that test your resolve. You discover endurance by continuing long after you wanted to stop. You find courage by acting despite fear, by moving forward even when you cannot see where the path leads. These qualities cannot be taught in classrooms or learned from books. They can only be forged in the fire of real experience, real struggle, real storms. Without storms, you remain shallow. Like a tree that has never faced strong wind, your roots never learn to dig deep. Your strength never gets tested, so you never discover how much you can actually handle. You stay the same size, the same depth, the same person you were when the weather was always mild. With storms, you grow unshakable, not because nothing can ever hurt you again, but because you have learned that you can be hurt and still keep going. You have discovered that falling down does not mean staying down, that failure does not mean the end of trying, that heartbreak does not mean the end of loving. So the next time life pushes against you, do not stop. Feel the resistance, acknowledge the difficulty, but do not let it become a reason to retreat to shelter. The storm is not your enemy. It is your teacher, your trainer, your opportunity to discover strength you did not know you possessed. Plant your feet firmly on the ground you have chosen to defend. Lean forward into the wind rather than letting it push you backward. Take action even in the rain, even when you cannot see clearly, even when every step requires more effort than it would on a calm day. This is not about being reckless or ignoring real dangers. This is about recognizing that some storms must be walked through, not waited out. Some challenges must be faced head-on, not avoided. Some growth can only happen when conditions are difficult. When the storm passes, and it always does, you will stand taller than before, not just because you survived, but because you survived while moving forward. You will look back at the person you were before the storm and barely recognize them. That person seems smaller now, less tested, less certain of their own strength. The storm taught you something that calm skies never could. You are stronger than you knew, more resilient than you imagined, more capable of handling difficulty than you ever believed possible. This knowledge becomes part of you, a deep root that no future storm can shake. 8. The bridge you build with your hands. Your future is not a place you stumble upon. It is not a distant island you might accidentally discover while wandering through life without direction. It is not a destination that appears suddenly around the next corner, surprising you with its presence. Your future is something far more intentional, far more personal than that. It is a bridge you build. Every board you lay with your own hands, every nail you strike with your own hammer, every choice you make about which direction the bridge should go becomes part of that bridge. This bridge exists nowhere in the world except in your daily actions, your repeated decisions, your commitment to moving from where you are to where you want to be. Think about how a real bridge gets built. Workers do not show up one morning and hope to find it already spanning the gap. They arrive with plans, with materials, with tools, and with the understanding that today's work will be invisible from the finished bridge, but absolutely necessary for its completion. Some days the work feels slow, and you might think, this little step does not matter. You practice your skill for 15 minutes and feel like you have barely moved forward. You save a small amount of money and wonder if it will ever add up to anything meaningful. You read one chapter, write one paragraph, make one connection, and the distance between where you are and where you want to be still seems enormous. But every small act of discipline is another plank added to your bridge. That 15 minutes of practice strengthens the foundation of your abilities. That small amount saved becomes part of the structure that will carry you toward financial freedom. That single chapter adds to your knowledge. That one paragraph builds your skills. That new connection becomes part of the network that might change your life. You cannot see the whole bridge while you are building it. When you are focused on placing one board correctly, measuring one span accurately, securing one joint properly, the finished structure remains invisible. All you can see is the work directly in front of you, the immediate task that needs your attention right now. Skip too many days, and the bridge remains unfinished, leaving you stranded where you are. Bridges are not forgiving of neglect. You cannot lay boards on Monday and expect them to multiply by Friday. You cannot work hard for a week and then disappear for a month, hoping to find the bridge magically completed when you return. Every day you choose not to work on your bridge is a day it stays exactly the same length. Every excuse you accept, every delay you justify, every tomorrow you promise yourself, these become gaps in your bridge. Weak spots that will not hold your weight when you need them most. The bridge demands consistency more than perfection. It needs your attention more than your excellence. A bridge built steadily, even with imperfect materials and inexpert hands, will carry you across the gap. A bridge that exists only in perfect plans and someday intentions will never span anything at all. But build daily, even with small actions, and one day you will look back amazed at how far you have come. This moment of recognition always comes as a surprise. You have been so focused on the work in front of you, so absorbed in the daily task of laying boards and driving nails, that you have not noticed the bridge growing longer and stronger beneath your feet. Then one morning you pause in your work and turn around. Behind you stretches a solid structure that connects where you started to where you stand now. The bridge that once existed only in your imagination has become real, substantial, capable of holding not just your weight, but the weight of your dreams. The bridge does not build itself, and no one will build it for you. This is perhaps the hardest truth about creating the future you want. Other people can encourage you, teach you techniques, share their own bridge-building stories, but they cannot pick up your hammer, place your boards, or make your daily choice to keep working. Your bridge is yours alone to build. It will reflect your choices, your persistence, your willingness to work, even when you do not feel like it. It will carry your unique stamp, shaped by the materials you chose and the path you decided to follow. Force yourself to pick up the tools each day. Some days the work will feel easy, almost effortless. The boards will fit perfectly. The nails will drive straight and true, and you will make visible progress toward your goal. But other days the tools will feel heavy in your hands, the materials will resist your efforts, and every small step will require enormous effort. Work anyway. The bridge does not care if you feel motivated or tired, inspired or discouraged. It only responds to action, to the simple act of showing up with your tools and doing whatever you can do today. Bit by bit, the bridge takes shape. What starts as a single board becomes a span. What begins as a span becomes a walkway. What grows from a walkway becomes a highway that can carry you and everything you hope to accomplish across to the other side. And before long, it carries you safely across to the life you have been dreaming of. The bridge that seemed impossible when you laid the first board now feels solid beneath your feet. The gap that once looked too wide to cross has become simply another part of your journey, another distance you covered by building your way across it one day at a time.